as he was watching the images come in, he was watching the blood pour into my brain cavity.
Oh my God.
He was watching my brain. You could see it's light gray. You can see everything, and then there was just black that was spreading over the brain, and that was the blood.
Hey guys, my name is Katie Enterkin, and I'm on a mission to help humans become the best possible versions of themselves and to unveil what I like to call the beautiful beast that already lives inside us all. And welcome to the podcast about everything and a little bit of nothing. I've had the privilege to talk to all kinds of different humans who have been through a plethora, I love big words, a myriad of experiences just being a human and existing. These are real conversations with real people, getting to know each other, sharing stories that make us cry, and occasionally pee our pants with laughter. We talk about all kinds of life stuff: parenthood, business, life goals, fitness, chasing your dreams, and yes, even some animal noises are involved. For more information, keep listening. This is the Unveiling the Beast podcast. What's up, you beautiful beasts? Welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I hung out with another childhood friend, Megan Hanson. Back in the day, she was Megan Stewart. And we talked about basically all of the health issues that she's going through right now from a head injury that she got at the age of 11. She's 33 now, so it's been 22 years, and she is actually literally, physically dying. So we talk about that. We talk about what's going on with her health. And we also talk about some of the side effects that she's had switching medications, antidepressants, and how dangerous it can be if you don't do it the right way. So anyway, as always, I hope something lands with you today. I hope something you hear tugs on your heartstrings, and or I hope you laugh. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with Megan Hanson, and as it seems to be a pattern to interview friends from junior high, here we are.
And here we are. It's the last time we hung out, too. 20 years ago.
I believe it was in my living room lip-syncing to No Doubt, or Madonna.
Yeah, one of those.
I have videographic evidence.
I don't believe you, and I don't want you to show me if it's
okay.
true.
Okay, but you should believe me because I do have it. And it was on, remember those little tiny videotapes that we would record on?
Yeah.
And then you put it in the big tape and it goes, and the twins were there too.
No, we always had cell phones. We're not that old.
Oh, yeah. So, Megan,
Katie,
before we do anything, what's up?
Not much.
How have you been in 20 years, other than what we're going to be talking about in a few minutes?
Other than that, things are good.
Good.
Have a 6-year-old whom I absolutely love and adore. He's a little shit most times, but, that's what you have with a very smart child. So we just have to try to get used to it. How have you been?
Good. Freaking good, dude.
I love watching the videos of your kid. He's so cute.
Thank you. My little Des.
He's so freaking adorable.
He's my dream come true.
Right?
Minus the tantrums.
Right.
Yeah, we're in that phase.
Yeah, they don't end. They just get... Yeah, they just get more understandable because now instead of him just screaming and crying, it's him saying, "Mommy, you're being mean because you won't let me build the Legos I want to build, so you can go away, you stupid head."
Oh, well, at least you know why he's mad.
Yes. Yes, very much so. He lets you know.
That's cool, though.
It comes with the territory. I love it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're both old and we're both parents. You guys, I think the last time, you guys being my doorknob, I think the last time we saw each other was like 1998. Did you move first or did I move away?
I moved right after I graduated in 2004.
Oh. Cool. Well, okay, so then I moved first.
Right, because we lost kind of touch because you and Jenny and Elizabeth were a grade higher than me.
Oh, that's right. So it's probably after we graduated 8th grade.
Yeah. So when you guys off to high school, and then I started 8th grade, and it was just like, oh.
Okay. And then I only went to Moore Park High for a year.
Really?
So by the time you got there, I was gone. I get it. Okay.
I didn't even know that you moved. I was wondering why I could never find you. I just thought, I don't know.
I went to Royal High School after that.
Really?
Yeah. I moved all the way to Simi Valley.
Oh my, how many trucks did that take and how many hours?
Like a lot of both. Yeah. What I do know about you is that you had a head injury, which is causing a lot of your health problems now, but I don't know any of the details.
That's because I hid it from everybody for 17 years.
What in the fucking ass?
Well, I was 11. It was PE, capture the flag. I collided with someone else. I'm not going to say their name. And that was, back in 1998. They didn't know anything. And, I was knocked out for 5 minutes, passed out on the field. And I got a 3.5 inch long fracture and a subdural and epidural hematomas, which are basically strokes, blood clots that burst in your head. So I was knocked out for 5 minutes, and back then they didn't know much about head injuries, so they didn't know that was a bad sign. And once I was up, they walked me to the nurse and then sent me back to class. So they kept sending me back to class, and I kept going back to the nurse because my head hurt. And finally, as I was saying, I don't know if you heard this part, but this was when my grandma, my mom's mom, still lived with us, who was in love with you and your singing.
Aww.
So I called her to see if she could bring me Tylenol. And instead, she picked me up, took me to what was then Thrifty, now Rite Aid, because it's the ice cream counter, and got me an ice cream and went home. And I started feeling a little better. We had
Costco. Just to interrupt you real quick, this is the day of the injury, like right after it happened?
Yes.
Okay. So it's before you knew all the crap that you had, like the hematomas and stuff.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Okay. And just to warn you, I'm a horrible interrupter because questions pop into my head and I'm horrible. Okay.
That's fine. Okay. January 21st, 1998. And I remember because that was my father's birthday. Yes, I broke my head on my father's birthday.
Oy.
And okay, so my grandma took me home. We thought it was just a headache again. We had Costco pizza that night, and I remember eating my normal 3 giant slices. And the reason this is important, is because at 2:00 in the morning, I started vomiting. And I vomited every 5 minutes for the next week.
Wow.
It took me a while to eat Costco pizza again after that.
I'm over here like, hell yeah! And you're like, no, I threw it up.
No, but it's just like, normally when you have a concussion, you don't have an appetite. I'll go 4 or 5 days now without eating just because I cannot eat. I'll just vomit it up.
Yeah.
I have no interest in food. I stay hydrated, but no food. 11-year-old, I'm eating pizza. Eating it down. And 2:00 in the morning, start throwing up. So my parents call the doctor that opens at 8 to have me in. I go in and they're like, oh, she just bumped her head. I'm sure it'll be fine, but just to be sure, let's go have her get an MRI. And so I went, okay, that's weird. And I should mention that the year before I had broken my arm, and that was the first bone I had ever broken. That was my experience with broken bones, was a broken arm. It hurt, both bones were completely snapped in half. It wasn't fun, but it was just an arm bone.
Yeah.
This is important because I'm 11. I'm not very smart. And so, okay, so we get to the MRI place, and I'm in the MRI tube, and my dad, I can see him through the mirror, the glass, looking at the computer as the images come in with the tech. And I see the color leaving my dad's face. As I'm in there for half an hour. They wheel me out. My dad comes in and the blood's leaving his face, and he's just like, Megan, we have to go to the hospital. They've already called. They're waiting for us. You're going to be put in a room. And I'm like, okay, because I'm throwing up. I'm sorry. And
Aww.
they're like, no, you fractured your skull. You broke your head. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know how they put a cast on that, but okay, we'll go do that.
Sorry, it's not funny.
I didn't know.
I laugh at inappropriate times.
No, it's fine. I think it's hilarious. It is so funny. I laugh at everything. If you don't laugh, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
And my mom worked in Ventura, which was 45 minutes away. And so my dad called her on the way, and she was in a meeting. I remember her. She likes to tell the story of, they're like, no, you need to get out of the meeting. Your daughter's going to the hospital. Her head broke. And what?
Wow.
And so it's funny because we get to the hospital and everyone's like, oh, why are you here? And I'm like, oh, I broke my head. I'm here to get a cast. And they look at me and they're like, okay, do you need a wheelchair? And I said, no, it's my head, not my leg. I can walk. Why are you being stupid? I didn't understand why they're like, why are you walking in? Where's your wheelchair? Everyone was making such a big deal about this. And it's like, I just broke my head. I do not understand why everybody is freaking out. Now, I didn't know at the time, but the subdural and epidural hematoma that I suffered from, most people die from.
Oh.
Liam Neeson's wife, Natasha Richardson, when she hit her head while skiing, that's what she died from. A lot of people, if you don't die right away, you just go to sleep and you don't wake up. Or when you do, you have no memory of who you are, or you're a vegetable or whatever. And so for me to still be cognitively okay while this was going on was weird.
Mm-hmm. Is that why the blood left your dad's face?
Yes. Because as he was watching the images come in, he was watching the blood pour into my brain cavity.
Oh my God.
He was watching my brain. You could see it's light gray. You can see everything. And then there was just black that was spreading over the brain. And that was the blood. And so we got to the hospital. They put me in a room. And the doctor came in and I said, where's my cast? When do I get to go home? And he said, you don't get to go home until you've stopped throwing up for 24 hours. And so I said, okay. And then I was trying to get the nurses and my parents on my side to hide the fact that I was throwing up and not tell the doctor. Because as I mentioned before, the 21st, the day I hurt my head, was my father's birthday. The next day, the day that I went into the hospital, January 22nd, was my sister's birthday. My dad, for the first time in forever, my dad, in the first time in forever, had taken an entire week off work, and he spent it sleeping in the chair, the bedside of my table in the hospital.
Aww.
And my sister spent it was her 14th birthday, blowing up doctor's gloves into balloons to try to make me laugh.
That's awesome.
And of course, my grandma was going through all the drawers and getting out all the medical instruments and, making sure my reflexes were working. She was so embarrassing whenever she would take me to the doctor, because every time they would come in the exam room, she would stand up quickly as she was going through the instrument drawer because she liked to play with it. So for me, at that time, my parents didn't want to scare me.
Yeah.
I still didn't.
Because you're 11 years old, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know why people were making a big deal about it. I do have to do a shout out to my best friend, Courtney Smith, now Courtney Michelson.
Shout out!
Who, showed up, her and her mom, Sandy Smith, other shout out! They visited me. They visited me every day in the hospital. After school, Sandy would pick Courtney up and bring her over to my hospital room with my homework, because I was still doing my homework. Mm-hmm. And we would sit and talk and do whatever. And, nobody else visited me, but nobody else knew. I didn't know that we were waiting to see if the blood would reabsorb. They were talking about doing a bore hole, which is where they bore a hole in your skull to drain
and suck
blood.
It out, right?
Yeah, but it's prone to infect. I mean, at 22 years ago, prone to infection, not safe, not suitable for 16. You know, she's not dead yet. She may be if we try this. So eventually the blood reabsorbed, and it took about a month after I got home from the hospital. After being in the hospital for a week, I was off school for a month, and then I tried going back to school. It was really loud.
So this was all before we met and hung out.
Yeah, this was 6th grade for me. And
did you keep the head injury a secret, or just your symptoms now? Because I don't remember you having a head injury when we knew each other back in the day.
Yeah, back then it was still just like, oh yeah, I broke my arm, I broke my head, blah, blah, blah. I have headaches.
Okay, I gotcha.
It is what it is. But even back then, it wasn't until about 5 years ago that we realized the devastation it's caused on my body. Mm-hmm. You know, the doctors never even knew. They were just like, okay, headaches. You have headaches. It's brought out, you know, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia at 12. Fibromyalgia, widespread body pain, which is very, very intense.
Yeah.
It's hereditary. All the women in my family have it, but you don't normally get it until you're in your 50s or 60s unless you have an early onset trauma. And so we thought the body pain was just fibromyalgia and the headaches were just headaches. You know, I broke my head. Obviously, it's going to hurt for a while.
Yeah.
And then I continued to not tell anybody about the issues I was having.
Girl!
And I continued to try to live a normal life because as a kid, that's what you expect to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, well, you knew me. You knew that I shook a lot, but I think you thought it was because I didn't eat a lot.
Yeah.
For always trying to get me to eat. Yeah.
Well, you, as a kid, you were like super skinny.
That's because I was super active. I had a 6-pack.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in sports always.
Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't say that as a bad thing. It's just she was always like really skinny and I was always really chubby. So I was trying to get her to eat.
Well, and I was shaking and looked malnourished. So
yeah, that too.
Looks sickly and is on the slender side. Yeah, of course.
Dude, this is explaining so much right now. You have no idea. Okay, continue. Oh my God, I love this story. Well, like your pain. Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped playing contact sports and, you know, started doing track and field and stuff that I wouldn't be in the risk. If I hit my head again on that spot, I could die. I'm not allowed to ride a bike. Definitely not allowed on a motorcycle. Not allowed to do a lot of things because it's still very weak.
Man, having a kid must have been scary because I don't know how many times my child has hit me in the head with his.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I've gotten 2 or 3 more concussions from my son alone.
Oh, poor baby. Him, not you. Just kidding.
No, he's got a heart.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be... I broke my mommy, you know.
He's not going to hear about that part, no. We're very open with Nick, except he doesn't know that I'm dying. He just knows that I'm sick.
Gotcha.
But, okay, so, yeah, when we knew each other, you didn't know what was going on. Nobody knew what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I didn't feel well, and I wanted to. And it wasn't until the last half of, it was in high school I really started to struggle. I was on the swim team. You know, I was able to go from junior varsity to varsity in my freshman year, and only Courtney and I were able to do that. It was the first year that Moore Park High had a swim team. The first race that we did that the school ever raced was a relay race with Courtney, I, and 2 others. And I know it sounds horrible, but I don't know. It's Diane and Rebecca, but I don't remember their maiden names, and I know they're married now. So,
shout out!
Yeah, to you guys. But it's just cool that as the first race ever swam by Moore Park High, it was the 4 of us, and we won it.
That's so cool.
So that was great because I was starting to have issues getting overheated. I have a really hard time regulating my body temperature.
Mm-hmm.
just unable to. I can't, which is another. I would wear wet t-shirts over to your house in the summer to try to cool. And
that's just a side effect from the injury?
Yeah. So,
Gotcha.
I'll
Okay.
go from freezing cold to burning up, and didn't know it then. I just thought, whatever. And it was funny because Jenny was always, Jenny Naya.
Yeah.
Shout out!
Shut up!
Making fun of me because I had a crush on your brother Tony, and she thought I was wet t-shirt over because I had a crush on you. With my little mosquito bites. Are you kidding me? Wet t-shirt did nothing for me. Oh,
man. What friend of mine didn't have a crush on my brother?
Every single
Tony, shut up!
Girlfriends, I'm sure, have all had a crush on your brother. And so she would make fun of me because she thought I was like trying to wear a wet t-shirt, and it's like, yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
But no, it was just to try to keep from overheating. And so swimming was great because you're in the water.
Yeah.
And then what's the next year? Sophomore year, I was a butterfly swimmer, which is one of the hardest strokes I happen to find because you have to completely throw your body out of the water using your arms.
Oh, yeah.
My shoulders started dislocating, like mid-stroke. It would literally throw my shoulder out of the socket, and the coach would have to pull me out of the pool. And so then I stopped being able to swim, and then I was just kind of like the coach's aide, I guess, which I never admitted to anybody, but that was one of the hardest things I ever did because I wanted to swim, and I had to go to all this and, ask the girls to take their jewelry off if they forgot, and they're all giving me attitude like I don't know what I'm talking. It's like, oh, fuck you. I swam first. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. Just because you don't know that I can swim, I know what I'm doing. I'm here for a reason.
Little bitches in high school.
Yes. Seriously, and it's just like, I'm trying to cry because I want to swim, but I still want to be involved. And then junior year came around, and I stopped being able to go to school. I could not get out of bed. I had fevers of 102, for months at a time, and you're not allowed at school with a fever that high. Sorry, my voice is starting to shake. This is what happens when I start to talk for a while.
That's okay. It just sounds like you're about to cry.
Yeah, well, I probably will, and then I'll laugh.
That's okay.
And I'll cry.
Yeah. Hashtag life.
Yes, seriously. And then, I stopped being able to go to school. And so we got a teacher to start homeschooling me, but she was so stupid that I just ignored her and taught myself. And I just posted something for the first time on Facebook, and I feel bad for doing it, but when I came back senior year, everyone kind of laughingly was like, oh, we thought you died. Ha ha ha. And it's like, oh, well, thank you for the cards you didn't send my parents, Like, they were good friends, good friends that we would then continue to hang on. I'm still friends with them on Facebook.
Yeah.
We just picked up our friendship again senior year, but it was just like the only person that came over was Courtney. She was the only friend that consistently, first, she's the only friend that really knew. But I didn't tell, we didn't know why I was sick. We didn't connect the head injury of, 3, 4, or 5 years previous to what was happening. And
that's insane because these days that would be the first thing that they think of, the doctors at least.
Well, nowadays, now it is a California law that if you have a head injury, NPE, you have to get sent to the hospital, and that is because of me.
Good.
Yeah.
Shut up!
Yep. Because we could have sued the school system and won, but it wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
So just suing to sue is stupid, although now I wish we had because we're all in financial dire straits trying to get me healthy, but we didn't know at the time. So senior year comes along, I'm back in school. My sister, who had gotten pregnant at 17, her senior year, had my nephew Jaden, and she was working, and so I was taking care of Jaden a lot. And so I would bring him to school with me sometimes when I had to. And so people thought, oh, you didn't die, you just had a kid. And it's just like, fine, whatever. Got through about 3 months of senior year and then had to stop going again. And this time, instead of trying to deal with a homeschool teacher who didn't know the advanced classes I was taking and was trying to teach herself as she was teaching me, I just went straight to the school and said, can you just send me home the normal coursework and I will do it, just like I'm in class. So it didn't count as, homeschooling or whatever. I was still enrolled in school. I still did all the coursework. I would come to school once a week with Jaden to drop it off. And I was able to graduate. That's and awesome. Walk across the stage, which my sister has her high school diploma but couldn't graduate with her class because she got her diploma after she had her son. Mm-hmm. My brother almost graduated high school and then didn't. And so I was the first of 3 to graduate, and it was really important to my parents. I knew it was important to them. And when I stopped being able to go to school, I could tell that it was like, okay, so they're just going to never be able to see their kid walk across the stage. So I made sure that no matter how bad I felt, I would be able to graduate.
Yeah.
So I did graduate high school with my class. I brought my nephew to senior picnic with me.
You mean your kid?
My son. I think of him as my son. I had such a big part of the first part of his life. I love that kid more than anything. He's so smart, and he's going either to the Aerospace Academy or the Air Force Academy, because both of his parents are in the Air Force.
That's so cool.
Yes. He's got a 4.15 GPA. I mean, he's awesome. That's cool. Anyway. Okay, so I was able to graduate. And right after graduation, I moved to Nevada. Mm-hmm. Lost touch with everybody because Facebook wasn't around then. And I tried working. I worked at Target for 3 months, and then I worked the graveyard shift at Walmart in the bakery. I was the one moving the pallets of 60-pound boxes of dough.
That's smart. Nice.
And then suddenly I started physically having problems.
Oh, I wonder why.
Yes, I know. I wonder what it could be. And so I tried doing a less physical job, and for 2 years I worked for a company called Fit to Race, and we were a triathlete apparel company, and I would customize like the race jerseys and wetsuits for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society for their team and training, whatever. I worked there for 2 years, and that's when I started getting really sick. I was on my own. I moved out 3 months after I turned 19 to my own apartment. My parents thought it was for independence, and I did it so that they couldn't see how sick I was getting. Mm-hmm. I didn't want them to know. And, I was working a full-time job, a part-time job at a karate dojo studio, which my son now goes to. And I was going to online school full-time, college. I was trying to be a chemist. Because chemistry just always clicked with me, and that's something that I was going to be a zoologist, and then physically I knew I couldn't do that. Chemists, It's not very physical. So I thought, okay, I'll chemical. Do that. Yes. Exactly. So I thought that I would do that. And stupid me, I overworked myself and had to quit both my jobs, lost my apartment, moved back home. My dad had built this awesome wood shop behind their house that he then gave to me to live in. There was electricity, and he put in a wood burning stove. There was no bathroom, no kitchen, no water, no anything like that. So I still had to go in there, but I did have my own little private space. And for about a year after that, I was a nanny for babies because I was still able to, yes.
Yeah.
I love babies. I just love them so much. And then I stopped being able to do that. So we started going to doctors. I finally told my parents, hey, listen, it's not the flu I have all the time. I don't know what's wrong. My head hurts all the time. You know, these migraines, I have not been without head pain in 22 years.
Mm.
I think if I woke up without a headache, I would think I was dead. Even in my dreams, I have headaches. There's just,
Wow.
I don't ever not have one. And so, but it's, you know, at that point, I was still functioning. I was still able to work through it. It just kind of bothered me. And then it started getting to the point where I couldn't function. And so then, you know, I moved back home, had no job or anything. Started going to doctors, to specialists. They told me to start pushing for disability. Took about 2.5 years and got rejected 4 times before I got a disability lawyer. And as soon as I went in front of the judge and he was looking through, it was like a paperwork of 30 or 40 pages, summary, not different doctor visits, a summary put forth of why I'm disabled. He went through the pages and he said, you know, I was in there with sunglasses on, the lights were off, the blinds were closed, and it was loud. It was a courthouse.
Yeah.
And he could say, you know, he could see how I was struggling. He said, just from the first few pages on your head alone and just from seeing you, you're 100% disabled from your head. I don't even need to get into these other health issues that you have. So I've been legally disabled since I was 23. I wanted to still work. I'm not one of those that likes to just lays off. I've always liked work. I've liked doing stuff, and that's always what people don't seem to understand is it's the disabled people that want to work.
Yeah.
We're not just lazing around cashing our very, very meager disability check because it's fun to do nothing. You know, I still want to do stuff. And so it was hard for me to admit that I was unable to do stuff, but that was still 9 years ago and still wasn't fully honest.
Yeah.
And we still, you know, of course, didn't know the severity. It wasn't until I started, you know, I've been vomiting constantly every day for 3 years at that point. And my sister started getting really proactive with my health. Before, you know, she was living her life. It was just a head injury. You know, none of us really knew what it was. But then she started doing research and realized, holy crap, this is actually a really bad thing.
Yeah.
So it was her and my parents that started researching, finding doctors that are off the beaten path, because most general you know, I've gone to neurologists, rheumatologists, you know, every single ologist out there. And they will try to treat the one, you know, because I've got like neuropathy, which is nerve damage and dying in my hands and feet and skin. So I can't feel sometimes, or I can't be around cold with my hands and feet. I can't have certain things touch me because of my skin. So they'll send me to the doctor just for that. But it's being caused by something, and they never looked into the cause. They were just to each individually treat what was going wrong with me. And it wasn't until my sister found out that there was a correlation, a connection between what was happening with me and with my brain injury, because they've started studying football player head injuries, and that's what mine was.
Oh.
And so now there's more research out there. And, you know, 3 years ago, my sister found a functional neurologist, which they're not typical neurologists. They look at your whole body and how things are functioning. And,
chemically.
Yes. Look at the doorknob. I know that I've skipped a bunch of years, and you can, of course, ask questions later.
That's okay.
We started going to Power Health, and I had to borrow $8,500 from my sister.
Yeesh.
My sister, who had just she was in Turkey for she's in the Air Force. Shout out! No, just kidding. She just re-enlisted for the last time. She will be retiring in 5 years at 40 years old.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get pregnant and get in there young. I'm sorry, Shannon. I love you.
Shut up.
Yeah. She was in Turkey for 18 months and then Italy for 5 years, where she met her current husband, who's a Michigan boy. But they met stationed in Italy. And so they were just moving back here together when my sister found Power Health, and we're looking to buy a house. And she lent me $8,500. Well, she didn't lend it. She gave it to me. She gave me $8,500 to pay for this treatment. And unfortunately, the guy was not what he said he was, but we're able to find a lot of stuff out from him. He just can't help me. He was able to explain a lot of things, that the cascading effects of brain injury. Got a lot of blood work and body work and stuff done, and found out that I have liver disease, that I have organ failure, that I have Hashimoto's thyroid condition, which means that I have celiac disease, so I can't have gluten, and I'm a baker, so that's fun. I get to make cinnamon rolls and pizza and stuff for the boys. I'm sitting there eating my non-tasteful stuff. But no, that's when we found out the severity of what was happening, and the fact that I was 31 then, and they said I wouldn't make it to 32 because my brain is rejecting my body. My brain views my body as an intruder, like if I was stabbed with something, it's attacking my body as if it's because my body's killing me, so it's attacking it.
Wow.
All from knocking my head when I was 11.
Wow.
It wasn't, my neck had hurt the whole time. Obviously, I got hit on the side of my head hard enough to break the bone and to cause blood vessels in my head to burst, but it took 9 years for people to look at my neck to find out that I kind of technically have a broken neck because I have a cracked vertebrae.
Mm-hmm.
And I have degenerative bulging discs. One of my vertebrae is pushing into my spinal cord, and they want to do a full fusion of 4 they want to take the cracked vertebrae out and then do a full Frankenstein fusion, so I wouldn't be able to move my neck.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a good time to mention I keep on this. I don't think it's a GoFundMe, right?
It's
a fundraiser to help you pay. Yeah.
Yes. My dad.
So,
yes. All of my treatments are not covered by insurance because.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will post a link. I will post a link in the show notes, ladies and gentlemen.
Chemically, it will be posted.
So go help her out if you can. Even $5 would help.
Or just a share. Just a share. We just need to get the word out there, not only to help me, but to help others, because we had no idea. No idea that any of this was happening. This may be too much information, but a year before I had my son, I had a miscarriage because my body killed my baby. He came out in 4 pieces at 4 months. And it's just stuff that you don't realize is going to be affected.
Yeah.
So if you knock yourself on the head, you go to the freaking hospital.
Yes, and don't try to hide it from your family so that they don't worry about you, because now I'm sure they're worried about you even more than they would have been if you were just...
I didn't know that it was going to get worse. I thought I was better eventually. Now I feel hopeful that I kept it from them because it's like almost too late.
Yeah.
And, I know that they're super worried and upset and it's taking over their lives. My sister just had a baby and she works full time. She has a husband and she's spending all of her time trying to find doctors for me. And right now there's a functional neurology clinic in Minnesota that it's 3 treatments a day for a week. But again, none of it's covered by insurance. But we're hoping that if I can get there, that they can stop the organ failure before it's too late.
Yeah.
Because I'd kind of like to be around for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Hello.
Although if he keeps this attitude, no, I'm kidding. No, what honestly the hardest part isn't the pain. It's I can't spend time with my kid. I'm bedridden for 20, 21, 22 hours a day. Um, when I was pregnant, I was better because when you're pregnant and you get hurt, your fetus heals you.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though I have autoimmune issues, when I was pregnant, I was never healthier. And so for the first I was getting sick and sicker again. But for the first 4 years of Nick's life, I was that mom. You know, I made fresh veggie muffins every morning. He was with me all the time. When he was in preschool, I would drop him off and then go volunteer at a bookstore and then go take him out to the park. I was disabled and it was hard, and I thought that was the hardest it was going to be, but I was still able to be with him.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm only with him about an hour a day.
Mm.
And it breaks my heart because I can hear him, you know, crying for me, yelling at my husband, saying, "Daddy, I want mommy." And my poor husband's going, "You need to be quiet. Mommy has a really bad headache. You know,
Yeah.
Mommy's sick." And it's hard.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing about being sick is not being the mom that I want to be.
Yeah. So I have two questions I want to ask you. One, with all this going on, like, you've never struck me as somebody who is complaining about your life or feeling sorry for yourself or any of that. So I want to know, like, what is it that you do or anything? I don't even know how to word it. Like, how do you stay your cheerful self that you are?
It's hard. I'm not always cheerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's
chemically
for sure. Yeah, no, chemically I'm fucked up. I share things now. I'm very open on Facebook and my TBI Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Feel it's like I'm complaining a lot because whenever people would ask me, "How are you doing?" I just say I'm fine. Because no one wants to hear it. But now when my family,
I do the same thing.
Yeah, now when my family asks, "No, how are you doing?" and then I have to list off all I do is complain, it seems like. You know, like, "Oh my God, my head hurts. Oh, it hurts so bad. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do that." But now I'm doing it not to complain, but to be honest.
Yeah.
And to be open and to be like, "Hey, this is what happens," you know?
Yeah.
So,
because, like, whenever I see your posts, I never see them as, "Woe is me, my head hurts." I see it more like, "This is what's going on with me today, just updating you guys." You know what I mean?
That's what I try to do because, you know, I've been around people that are just like, "Oh, I don't feel good."
You're doing a good job.
"Oh my God, my head hurts. Oh my God, my life sucks." I don't want to be that, you know? I don't want to be around that. So why would my family want to be around that?
Yeah.
And I just don't like being a negative person in general. I don't like making people sad. I think that's why you and I were friends, because we're both just like, "No, don't be sad. Come on. We'll do something completely stupid and make ourselves look like an idiot just to make you laugh." The amount of table dances I gave at that high school to make my friends laugh when they were in a bad mood. I mean,
there you go. There you go. Oh, man. Table dancing. That's a whole other episode. Again, videographic evidence. This was much later in life.
Yeah, this is for the midnight podcast, the late night.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, you know you would be a good sex phone operator. You've got that voice.
I probably would, yeah. Yeah, I could do it. But then they would see my face and be like, "Whoa!
You are hot as hell. Shut up."
Shut up. Anyway, I'm going to... Thank you. Thank you, doorknob. So that leads to my second question, because you're such a cheerful person. I think that it's important that you if you're up for it, if you share your story about switching medications and what it did to you, which initially was why I was like, okay, she needs to share this with people because stuff could happen if people don't know about this. So.
Yeah, my cousin killed himself for the same reason. He wasn't found in time. Yeah, so I'm going to a pain specialist now, and a while ago I was on the antidepressant called Brintalex, and it was the only antidepressant that didn't have side effects like the other ones do. But my insurance stopped covering it, and it was like $300 a month. And my other
to the no.
Yes, and I'm doing
that's expensive.
$400 a month on pain medication right now, which I told you about. That's so expensive, and not covered by insurance. So I mentioned to him that they rebranded Brintalex to Trintalex, and I've been on a medication, an antidepressant called Paxil for 4 years. And if I'm just a couple hours late taking it, I start getting these jolty withdrawal feelings. That's like a jolt of lightning to your stomach out through all your vein. You know, anytime I move my head or eyes, it's the most uncomfortable feeling. And I just wanted off it.
Yeah.
But I had warned him that I do have serious issues with it. And so when I was finally able to get my Trintalex, he told me to stop taking Paxil and start taking Trintalex the same night. And I told him, shouldn't I titrate off Paxil? I'm on, 6 times the starter dose. Shouldn't I kind of ease off it? And he said, no, you'll be fine if you just switch them out. So it was a Friday that I switched them out. And it was Sunday that my husband had to break down the door and take the hair scissors away from me that I was using to slit my wrist. Now, I am not suicidal. I've always promised my family I would never do that. As I've mentioned, my cousin killed himself. I know full well what that does to a family.
Yeah.
There's a day that I don't think of Tyler. My son's name is Nicholas Tyler Hanson. My aunt is absolutely destroyed. And I would never do that to my parents, nor would I do it to my husband. And I would absolutely never do that to my son. There's nothing in this world that would make me do that to my son except withdrawing from Paxil. I'm a member of Amy's TBI tribe on Facebook. It's a bunch of us brain damaged people together. And so before I did the video on my personal page, I wrote
Can you say that one more time? Because you broke up.
We're breaking up?
Yeah. I heard I'm part of a group, and then you cut out a little bit, so if we could just repeat.
Okay, it's a support group on Facebook. It's called Amy's TBI Tribe. TBI stands for Traumatic Brain Injury. Amy Zelmer is the starter, and she herself was, like I am now, bedridden and unable to live from a brain injury before she got better. The doctor that got her better is the one we're trying to go to in Minnesota, by the way.
Okay.
But there's hundreds, thousands of people on that page, and I just wanted to be like, hey, my doctor told me to do this. I knew I shouldn't, but he told me to anyway. I'm not suicidal, and, I slit my wrist. So I got hundreds of responses about people saying they had the same response off Paxil. Wow. They lost their brother. They lost their sister. They tried to hang themselves, so many different things. And it's not something, the crazy thing is I always thought that no matter how depressed I can get, I would get myself out of it. I wasn't depressed. I was logical.
Wow.
And that was the scary thing it was
if it I'm kind of like an out of body experience?
Almost. I don't remember much of the night, but I had locked my bathroom door and my bedroom door, so my husband had to get through both of them. Luckily, we do have little keys because our son likes to lock himself into rooms. But I had basically texted my husband that my dad was going to come and get Nick for an overnight. And I was already sawing at my wrist at that point. And I texted him to not come in the bathroom police were going to be coming by. Let them into the bathroom. You stay away. There's a note, so you're not going to get in trouble. I'm going to call them and tell them and everything. I don't remember texting any of this. So he broke down the door. In my head, if I was gone, my family would be happy. My parents wouldn't be upset anymore. My sister wouldn't be worrying about me anymore. My husband could remarry someone who could actually be a mom and a wife. And it was just like a light had clicked, like, duh. If I'm gone, everything's better. And that's not how I expected suicidal thoughts to kind of hit you,
Yeah, that's insane to me, because it's, for me, in my past suicidal days, it's always been strictly from depression.
Yeah, and there's been days, I don't want to wake up. I've been sad and not wanted to wake up before. I've never thought out steps before, but anybody with depression or any kind of health issue that causes pain, you definitely don't want it to continue. But I was never going to do anything about it. It was just like, if I don't wake up, that would be great, but that would be crazy because I don't sleep. I get maybe an hour of sleep a week. So to not wake up means I'd have to go to sleep first. So suicide felt hard for me.
Aww.
No,
chemically.
But yeah, chemically. So it was a shock. And my husband came in crying. Very few times I've seen him cry. And he took the scissors from me, and apparently I was fighting him for the scissors, growling like an animal.
Wow.
And I have no memory of that.
Jesus Lord.
No memory of that at all. So, yeah, be very, very careful of the medications that you're on. And I had a bad experience with Ambien when I was 19, when they were first trying to help with the sleep issue. I had hallucinations. The floor was moving like this. The walls were moving. There was a black, red-eyed figure that was following me.
Ugh.
But I made
so you don't even need shrooms. Just kidding. That's not something to joke about.
If I'd known it was fake, yeah, that would have been fun. But I didn't know it was fake. And I had my mom with me. I now make sure that people are with me when I go off a medication, and that they're aware. Because my husband even said when I went, and I picked a fight with him that night. My husband and I don't fight.
Yeah.
We bicker, we're like an old married couple, but we don't fight.
That's good.
Yeah, and I just picked a fight, like a meta fight. We were screaming in front of Nick, and we don't do that. And so he knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
And I knew something was wrong, because I don't get that mad, that angry, that anything. And I was just like screaming at him. I think it was over the dishwasher.
Wow.
It's
insane though, because medication can be like a game changer, but you have to be so careful.
Yeah.
With it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
I don't think I can be without medication because of my organ issues.
I don't recommend you being without medication.
I don't chemically, but I like being on a bunch of different. I don't like being on a bunch of different kinds, because there's so many interactions that you don't realize, and then you have to go on a medication to deal with a side effect from another medication.
Yeah.
And my doctors aren't in sync with each other, so they're not like checking with each other before they put me on new drugs. And that's why this clinic, because it's like an intensive week-long thing, and it's a group of doctors that talk to each other together.
Yeah.
To help.
That's cool. And that's what you need.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll post the link in the show notes.
So hopefully this will work out. But yes, I did attempt to commit suicide purely because of a chemical response due to going off a medication.
And ladies and gentlemen, she means chemically. I'm gonna try to find a drum.
Do it. You have a drum. Do it yourself.
I know, but So I have one question to ask you, which I ask everybody at the end of each little chitty chat. And that is, if you had one piece of advice that you could give to the world, what would it be?
Go to the doctor, but trust your gut.
Can you expand on that?
Yes, Dr. Thunder, the doctor who I try to kill myself. Oh. Also,
sorry.
I was going to ketamine sessions with him. Ketamine is a new, most people know ketamine as the date rape drug.
Mm-hmm. But it's a cat tranquilizer, right?
Moose tranquilizer, actually.
Oh, okay. So, I gotta go to Dr. Google. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, ketamine, it's a breakthrough treatment where it's an 8-hour-long infusion session.
Huh.
And he had me on 6 times the dose he's ever given anybody. He was unable to knock me out because my tolerance for medications is so high, it's ridiculous. Or nothing works on. But I got a really bad, it's IV, and so it's an IV in your wrist, and I got an infection from it, and my whole arm swelled up and got red, and I told him, and he said, "Oh, I'm sure it's just, an IV infection. Don't worry about it." And something in my head just kept saying, no, there's something wrong. I kept talking to him about it, calling him, and he kept saying, it's just it's a superficial IV. You can't get deep vein thrombosis from it or anything. Ended up, I knew something was wrong going to the hospital. My arm, from my wrist to my forearm, that entire vein was clot, just like that vein was like extruded with Play-Doh. And so I went back to him and told him, and he said, okay, well, the clots will break up and pass through your bloodstream, but you'll be fine because it's a superficial vein. 3 days later, I felt this very sharp pain through my heart and into my chest. And then I had trouble breathing, and I just was like, Paul, take me to the hospital. And I don't go to the hospital anymore because they don't help. They don't give anything that can help me. So it's very rare that I'll go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head was just telling me to go to the hospital, and I had just had a pulmonary embolism, and if I was 15 minutes later, I would have died.
And now that I have experience with pulmonary embolisms in my mother.
How is she?
She's good. They took her off oxygen, so yeah. But I didn't mean to put the story back on me.
No, I know. When I read that, it's like, holy shit. But she's doing better.
She's good, yeah.
Yeah, I still have a clot cluster lodged in my right lung. Just a cluster of clots that are there. So that was fun. But again, it was something where it was just like I was listening to my doctor, but in my head I kept saying, he's wrong. And he was. Yeah. And quick story, I know you have to go because you're babysitter. But with my son, when I was nursing him when he was a baby, and every time I would turn him on his side, he would scream bloody murder. And being 2 months old, he couldn't tell me it was wrong. And so I had to stand up for him, and I refused to leave his doctor's office because it's not gas. It's not colic. There is something with my child. And
Mommies
so finally
know.
they're like, oh. Yeah, they're like, fine, we'll check. He had acid reflux, and every single time I tipped him on his side, he had acid going up his esophagus and out his mouth.
Aww.
And he couldn't swallow. And so it took 7 doctor's visits until I finally refused to leave the doctor before they listened. So again, just listen, to your dog, but trust your instinct.
Yeah.
Because it's always proven right for me. And now I'm starting to just go with instinct over anything.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing, and I hope that somebody hears this that can learn from you.
If it helps one person, then that makes it all worthwhile.
Like I said, realistically, people, I always joke around and say I have one listener, but I have an established audience of 20 people. So,
oh my God, this is going to get around the world chemically.
Yeah. Chemically. But I say that because most of the episodes are listened to by the person who I'm the person's friends and family who I'm talking to. So if you don't do a lot of advertising for your episode, then probably only the 20 people will listen to it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not saying go advertise for me. I'm just saying, like, if you want more people to listen to it, then okay. I'm not trying to be, what did you call it earlier? Self-serving. I'm like, shut up, it's self-care.
Oh, here's my fundraiser, share it and send me money so that I can, get better, but just give me money.
That's not selfish.
That's really not what it is to me. I'm honestly hoping that if we can just share and share and share, I don't want to hit up my friends for money. I just need to find that one really rich person who wants to help someone. Where are the people that tried to give Kylie Jenner a billionaire? I mean, they donated hundreds of thousands of dollars so that she would be richer.
Yeah.
I'm dying, Can't I just have someone pay for my treat? A lot of people don't think of it that way, but it's not. I see people on here that go, oh, hey, I want a whole back tattoo. You guys pay for it. It's like, I have 6 tattoos and I pay for them all myself. I'm not having people pay for my tattoos. People have GoFundMes for the most ridiculous things, and yet I have a fundraiser trying to
save your life,
get money for my health. Yes, to save my life, because I am actually dying, and I'm going to be leaving my 6-year-old behind. And people are just like, oh, you already asked us for money. And it's like, okay, I'm sorry. Can you share then? I already shared. And it's like, okay.
Okay.
Good on ya.
Peace, bitches. Just kidding. Hey guys, so we actually got cut off 4 or 5 times during our conversation. Her phone just randomly shut off in the middle of nowhere, and every time that happened, it would take approximately 3.8 minutes to get reconnected. We got cut off right here at this point in the podcast, and I had to just end it because my babysitter was waiting for me downstairs, and no hard feelings, everybody's good, but I just felt the need to put this message in here because it was kind of an awkward place to end it with me saying later bitches or whatever it is I said. Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for listening, and I'm going to post a link for her fundraiser in the show notes down below. So thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye now. Ladies and gentlemen, Megan Hanson signing off. Until next time.